Hello, boys and girls. Today we're going to read a story called Koala Lou. It's written by Mem Fox, and it's illustrated by Pamela Lofts. This is a beautiful story about a mama koala and her baby, and just in time for Mother's Day. I love to read this story around Mother's Day. There once was a baby koala, so soft and round that all who saw her loved her. Her name was Koala Lou. The emu loved her, the platypus loved her, and even the tough little koala claws next door loved her. So some of these animals we have around our area, but some of them we don't. So koalas live in Australia. So this story is about animals in Australia. But it was her mother who loved her most of all. 100 times a day she would laugh and shake her head and say, "Koala Lou, I do love you." Look at that beautiful butterfly. Whenever she stretched in the early morning sun or climbed a gum tree or bravely went down the path all by herself, her mother would smile and say, "Koala Lou, I do love you." The years passed and other koalas were born, brothers and sisters for Koala Lou. Soon her mother was so busy she didn't have time to tell Koala Lou that she loved her, although of course she did. That's what happens when brothers and sisters are born. Mamas have to budget their time. And sometimes the squeaky wheel gets the grease. That's the saying. So if you have a baby brother or baby sister, you know that they cry a lot, and so they get a lot of the attention. Babies just do that. Every night, as she curled up under the stars, Koala Lou thought about the times when her mother had looked at her and said, "Koala Lou, I do love you." And she longed for her to say it again. One night, Koala Lou had a splendid idea. Preparations had begun for the Bush Olympics. She would enter the Olympics. She would compete in the gum tree climbing event, and she would win, and her mother would fling her arms around her neck and say again, "Koala Lou, I do love you." Koala Lou began her training right away. She jogged and puffed and lifted weights and panted. She hung from a branch with one claw at a time until she ached. She did push-ups till her stomach hurt, and last of all, she climbed the tallest tree that she could find over and over and over again. This kind of reminds me of Tacky the penguin when all of his friends were training for the Olympics. Tacky had his own way though, didn't he? Sometimes her mother would come watch her and ask, "How you doing, Blossom?" "Fine, just fine," Koala Lou would reply. At last, the day of the Bush Olympics arrived. Koala Claus had entered the gum tree climbing event, and everyone knew how fast she was, and Koala Lou wasn't scared. She saw her mother in the crowd and imagined her saying again, "Koala Lou, I do love you." Do you think her mother loves her, even though she doesn't say it every day, 100 times a day anymore? I think that her mother does. It was Koala Claus who went first. Her climb was a record-breaking 22 meters in 70 seconds flat. The spectators whistled and cheered wildly, and they waved their party hats. Look at those party hats. Lots of different animals. Can I do better than that? Wondered Koala Lou. I must. As she stepped toward the tree, a hush fell over the crowd. "On your mark," said the kookaburra. "Get set, go!" And here's the kookaburra right here. That is a interesting looking bird in Australia. Kookaburra, say that word, kookaburra. I kind of like how that sounds. Koala Lou leaped onto the tree. Up and up and up she climbed, higher and higher and higher, faster and faster, until there she was, right at the very top. The spectators roared and clapped and stamped their feet. Look at those funny party hats. Let's see if she won. But it wasn't fast enough. In spite of all her training and all of her hoping, it was Koala Claus who won the gum tree climbing. Koala Lou came in second. Koala Lou went off and hid. She heard the shouts of the Bush Olympics and cried her heart out. Oh, that is so sad. Have you ever cried your heart out? I wonder what makes you feel better if you do. When the first stars of evening appeared in the sky, Koala Lou crept home through the dark and up into the gum tree. Her mother was waiting for her. Before she could say a word, her mother had flung her arms around her neck and said, "Koala Lou, I do love you. I always have, and I always will." And she hugged her for a very long time. Do your mothers hug you for a very long time? I hope so. And there's the kookaburra. I love to read this story to you guys, to my kindergartners around Mother's Day, because it reminds me of a mother's love. Maybe tell me in your writing or in your think book how your mother loves you best. Does she say "I love you" and give you a hug around your neck? And if you've ever cried your eyes out, which is so sad, what maybe helps you when you feel sad? I hope that you enjoyed this book, and I'll see you guys soon. Have a good day.